considering it's a largish panel, I'll take the liberty of standing here and then asking the questions. If it's okay. Otherwise, some of you may have a neck creak and you'll tell me that Rajagopalan is responsible. So, this is a smallish crowd now, but be assured that that's going to get larger. So, if you found a chair, please stick to your chair for some time. Yeah, so, plus, of course, whatever is going to get discussed, hopefully, will keep us at the edge of our seat. For most people, this topic is not easy. Am I audible to everybody? Yeah, so thank you so much. A big round of applause to the people who've taken the time to come here. More importantly, the brave souls who feel that it's okay to come immediately after lunch. So, it's what I normally would call as a graveyard session. However, since I'm going to be the person standing here, if you're feeling sleepy, it's thanks to me. If it's interesting, it's thanks to them. So, you know what you're supposed to do. What? Feel sleepy or feel interested? At least tell me you're going to feel interested. Come on. So anyway, the thought process is like this. My own understanding of AI is not so good. Because I am of the opinion that the older you get, the lesser you understand it. The younger you are, the more you understand it. So some of you, how many of you are there since morning here in the auditorium? Raise your hands, don't feel shy. So you saw that RAI presentation that was put up for what to expect today and tomorrow in ReTechCon, right? Fully AI generated. One of our youngest team members in RAI created that video. Did you like it? Ritesh had presented it to all of us, right? So it's as simple as that. That this kind of a video would have taken me God knows how many hours and what kind of money, but we got it done free of cost with somebody who's worked with us now for about 3 months. So that's the way it is. So that seems to be the way things are going for most of us in tech. So if we have to be up in our game, I think the one thing that we can't avoid is AI. So without much ado, I would definitely like to jump right into the topic because we've got quite a few things to discuss and I'd like to learn more when I go out of this place. I should have kind of felt that 2, 3, 4 more bulbs have come into my brain. So Sandeep, the first question is for you. The work around AI is happening all around, right? Various people are using AI in various forms. They are finding it to be useful. Some are saying it's not useful. Some are cursing that it's happened. You can like it or hate it, but you can't really ignore it. That's the way I look at it. Am I right in thinking like that?
Exactly. The buzz has been there for quite some time. So, with your permission, may I ask a question to the audience? Do you know when the term AI was coined? Anybody? Year or decade? Okay, I don't think we've done the homework.
No, you have not told them the gift voucher that they win.
Okay, there is a gift voucher, but don't start looking into your mobiles. The year was 1956. The place was Dartmouth. There was a conference, Dartmouth, famous conference, Dartmouth. So where the term AI was coined, and today is 2023. Everybody has risen to generative AI, ChatGPT only last year. Thanks to this generative AI, which actually showed the real life possibilities what AI can bring, and suddenly AI has been brought to the discussions on all, I would say, boardroom discussions. I'm saying boardroom discussions, not technology leaders discussions. Technology leaders knew what AI can do, so suddenly it has been brought to boardrooms. Whenever even we go to promoters meeting and all that, people at every level are using ChatGPT, and the possibilities of AI are coming out now. Now people are taking it very seriously because we're close to that particular threshold level where things are easy to do. It's not left to technology people only. And interestingly, Kumar, you were talking about the video that you have created for the entire session that's going to be happening for the next 2 days. Internally also, we did a digital transformation program, and when we presented, the entire content of the video was generated through generative AI and entire voiceover, all the pictures and everything. And nobody could believe that, that's the power of AI. So only thing what has happened in last, let's say 70 years, the people have started to take AI in last 1 year very seriously, and possibilities are immense. So if I talk about Couple of use cases in retail business. The first and foremost would be customer service. That's an area where you can completely transform the user experience basis. Exactly you can give a very right level of response generated by AI to the customer. Very less training for your agents, and that's number one. Number two, for an area where we normally don't think AI can play a role is the financial transactions reconciliations. That's an area where again AI can play a huge role in terms of monitoring anything which is not as per the trends and all that. And of course there are areas like security, there are areas like consumer campaigns, there are areas like your e-commerce where you can do a lot of attributes and the possibilities are immense. What again, we would have to see that, there are certain areas of responsible AI and all that, but that's for later. So, all in all, it is on the top of recall for everyone, and it's going to be there for a couple of years now.
Oh, fantastic. So, since you already created an opening, I'd like each one of you, so I start with Anirban, and then the others can join in, is to understand what are the areas that you think AI can help you in the retail business?
Sure.
And we'll need to keep this as short as possible so that we try and cover as much as we can. Sure. And then we'll come back to the deep questions.
Sure. So, for me, AI, as you rightly said, is a very old term, and it used to be predictive AI mainly and machine learning. It has only been recently with ChatGPT and the LLM models that it has become generative AI. So, I'll take 1 minute. So, directly I was not paying so much attention until my wife, who is a digital marketer, showed me how to create websites in half the time she used to take earlier. So, using ChatGPT and all, marketing, SEO, and content generation takes half or even less the time. Even resignation letters come with AI. You can tell from that they have been written with ChatGPT. So, I see it immense because what has happened is that the uptake by the public, because there is nothing to understand, unlike predictive AI where it required person to understand what the AI was telling you, here it's a consumption. That's the beauty of generative AI. Now, whether that, like anything, it has good or bad sides to it. If it generates bad content, you consume bad. So that's where I see a lot of opportunity in the retail sector, especially on the conversational part, on the product discovery part. AI will take a very dominant role, and as long as we understand, because it will be very easy to consume as opposed to many other versions of AI which is there or predictive AI.
Thank you. So again, I think he's talking about how you initially ignore it, but then because the end user has started using it, I suddenly think you can't run away from it because the fact of the case is the end user wants it. We'll go to Barada. Barada, what's your thought? Where can we really use AI?
Yeah. So I actually tend to think of this more from the consumer lens before I think we apply it with retailers, with brands, with people who are selling online, right? I mean, and the thing is that if you look at it, we always start from the customer experience and then apply technology to make that customer experience more richer, right? Today, I think, and I think Anirban brought up a great point, right? There was a bunch of predictive AI from which you rose, and then eventually it has now come to the stage where you can take those predictions to actually apply to create experiences. And that's the generative jump and leap that we have done. But a large part of what has really made that possible is this access to data, if you see. And a large part of this evolution of these very complex neural networks which have evolved over a period of time, which can run on really large machine learning clusters, if you look at it, right? The investment in all of that is now suddenly realizing that, hey, now we can create consumer experiences that each of us would thought was very premium experiences only available to a few select. That's getting much more democratized with this leap in generative AI infrastructure that we are seeing. I think what that will do for a lot of us, and I think right from customer support, where we see that, to customer experience, where you can see websites, to personalization being one of those leapfrogs, but eventually also percolating to where we say decisioning now going to take place. And I'll give you an example of what's happening for a large part of our product managers who work in retail. You know, a large part of product management in retail was that, hey, I had to work on the business side for a lot of time, understand the business, then take some decisions. But today, if you look at it, they can use these AI co-pilots to really generate product notes. And then they can refine it over a period of time. And that's just on the product side, right? But you take that to almost every other aspect about how do I think about assortment? How do I think about merchandising? How do I think about pricing? Now, all of a sudden, you have the access to all of these, which can be helped with generative AI infrastructure that you can really imbibe. So I think there is a lot of more exciting places that I definitely see this happening in the days to come. Super excited to see this getting into the hands of consumers and how we can really help service consumers better. Yeah.
Thank you. Jagpreet, your thought. Because for us, McDonald's is that brand where you're going to go into the store, enjoy your food, and come out. And the guys at the back end of this business also realize that McDonald's does a lot of work around technology per se to make that great experience for consumers. So, what's your thought on AI and where will that take you?
So I'll start with a personal anecdote. So when I was invited to this panel, I had to share a photo, and I realized I don't have any formal photos. All of them are either in shots or and on top of a bicycle. So I went to an AI tool, found it online. I paid a few ₹100, uploaded 20 of my existing photos, and they gave me I think about 30 formal, realistic looking photos generated with the generative AI. So that's where the technology has, and it's not the technology didn't exist earlier. Means of course it has advanced. Technology existed, like Sandeep said. It was the term was invented in 1956. About 10 to 15 years ago, if you wanted to use anything which is in the domain of AI, you needed data scientists, you needed PhDs. About 10 years ago, it came to be that there are enough libraries and APIs that engineers can use them, like software developers can use AI to build applications on top of it. That's where the last stage of AI revolution happened. And now with ChatGPT and the generative AI revolution, it has come to the stage where normal people like you and me who don't have a background in technology can use AI. So that's how it has progressed. Its applications we see in business, I think it's been covered so far, and it's a beast that we are still trying to understand. And like you've heard the fable of the 5 blind men and an elephant, right? So somebody thinks it's like a wall, somebody thinks it's like a rope. So we're still trying to figure it out. One thing definitely we see customer support is something that AI can fulfill. But it's still early days. It's like primary uses that we are seeing right now. Like you can, of course, write text with it. You can generate images, videos. But what are the ultimate use cases which drive business and drive growth? That is still to be seen. So I think that is the next logical step that people like the people in this room will come up with, invent, and then share with all of us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Manoj looking slightly concerned. Obviously, the fashion business has got its own amount of challenges. Where do you think AI will come of best help for you in the business?
So,
Actually, I should rephrase the term. It's already deep into thinking what are the various places.
no, I
going
was
to now
thinking
use
like
more.
everybody gave everything about the chat GPT and everything. So I thought, what will I say? Everything is got covered. Like Sandeep has covered something, he has covered everything. So, yeah, the chat GPT, or you can say AI is getting used in all the parts of the retail. If you ask me, if it goes in the finance part, supply chain, in the merchandising, even in the customer care, which you are using a lot currently, where the use is happening very simplified. End of the day, it's like giving a customer service. So how best you can give the service promptly, you're giving answer to them. That helps, and that's where the AI thing is there. It helps. Like initially, when you said about the programming, we used to write the program, we used to remember the terms, we used to remember the table name. Now everything has become easy. It's just like you're just talking, you're speaking it, and everything is happening. So that's where I see, and I see this technology coming far more ahead.
So, Puran, coming to you. Yours is a traditional business in many ways. At the same time, it's a business that's getting a whole lot of new people coming, new entrants coming, and it's getting challenged because the supremacy of the traditional business is getting challenged by new entrants. Do you think AI is going to be a cutting edge? One of the tools, obviously, that's not the only cutting edge.
In one word, yes. As you know, the competition is growing day by day, And jewelry, if we all know, being a man also, we know how jewelry buying experience is, It's not a short-term process, it's a long-term process, especially when it comes to bridal jewelry or buying a jewelry for our kids or relatives, we don't just go to a shop, jewelry shop, and buy anything, whatever you like. Anyone who walks in jewelry shop or even a jewelry website, they have certain things in their mind. That's how they go into a shop and they start asking like, I need this. Till these years, it has been done by the sales associates or the people who used to be on the other side of the counter. They used to understand, ask questions to the customers, what are you looking for what occasion and everything. And the sales associate, based on their experience and knowledge, they used to share the information. The maximum time is to go in trial and error, Now, this is the area which AI is going to shorten for jewelry companies. Obviously, there is a customer care experience, merchandising, production, everything, everything's there. But if you get a tool to understand your customer faster and showcase the jewelry faster, your turnaround time is less, your profitability increase more, you can handle more customers in shortest time. Like my friends they got to know about AI because you can develop a website in a half a day or say half the time. I would say AI has done a lot of wonders for the images, videos, and everything. Now, if you think about jewelry is first, before it gets melted in a gold, it first gets designed into somebody's brain. Now you require a designer for that. Then there is a CAD CAM process, a whole 7 days process. Having AI in place now, plus you have a data, like for companies like us who are there in the industry from 1864, we have got a huge amount of data. Merging that information with the current trends. Now, this is something which is impossible. If you don't use AI, you will not get to know what trends are going on. If you ask any fashion industry, there are different events, sessions, forums where they get the information about the fashion trends and everything. Same thing applies for jewelry also. The generation in our own house, like my mom's taste is something different, my wife is like something different, my daughter likes something different. But when they go for shopping, they will go all together. Now there is a mismatch. Somebody's liking something else, somebody's liking something else. Getting one design which is which everyone likes it is very difficult. That's where the maximum time goes. If you have AI which is present in the store for the customers, and today's customers, they are smart enough. By now we all know everyone has used AI. Some or smaller forms, either asking question for how to type a resignation letter, how to type a formal letter, or whatever example which I just heard. Same way, people know it. If I ask 3-4 questions, I get a new design. Now, for a jeweler like us, we just had to understand, okay, now we don't have to spend time on understanding customer requirement. We know what is the customer looking for it. We have the tool. It can generate an image. Now we have to either match something which is nearest to it, which is available in store, if not a current store, nearby store, or from the factory. So for jewelers, AI is a boon, It is something which we were looking for years. It is there for us. And if you see the ROI perspective, I think it is going to be profitable for us.
Actually,
that's my perspective.
As you tell me, Pooraan, I remember 2 days before we were in Goa in a hotel, and there was this big poster kind of a thing that was there, and it had lots of hair clips, various types of hair clips in it. And my wife was looking at it, and she suddenly remembered there was this spectacular scene in a movie called Utsav with Rekha, where there was this special hair clip. She removes it and some context. And she was telling, I wonder if I tell something like this to any jeweler, whether they'll be willing to create something like this.
You know what? There have been cases where customers walk into our stores, they say, like, I need jewelry which is worn by so-and-so heroine in that so-and-so movie. Now understand, they come up with the requirement. The requirement is very clear, crystal. They have money and they want to buy. It is up to us to deliver. Now it will go back to the back-end team. They will analyze, इससे कोई matching है, नहीं है, बनाना है, and all that stuff. It used to take time. Now it has become easy. I need a jewelry which is worn by Alia Bhatt in talking Raja Ki Prem Kahani in that. Okay, it is there. So the ambiguity of design, like one of my friends said, like this 5 people looking at the room or touching the elephant, like it's a rope or ball, that is gone. The AI has eliminated all that ambiguities, confusions. What customer is looking at, he saw the design, he said, look, I need this design. It's come to us, our job is to deliver it. That's it.
Oh, great stuff. So we'll move back to Sandeep. The thing that's happening, obviously, is that there is a whole lot of work that's happening around AI, and each one of us are trying to adopt to it, and you yourself started that, right? So, what can we expect from business point of view, from a retail business? And this is a question that I'd like to pass again from one to another because it's easier with so many minutes. That's the best way to do it. So, if each one of you can give me one serious requirement that will get fulfilled by AI, and where do you think it's going to be of use? That would be really useful. And I leave it open to each one of you. And if by chance somebody likes, Manoj, if by the time it comes to you, you realize somebody else is already spoken about, like design is already spoken about, right? So you may want to think something else because there are things that happens. This is just to get all of us to be on par in terms of understanding what can be done. And more importantly, I guess for the audience then to pick up from there, and maybe they've already created some questions they want to ask this panel based on AI. Yeah, so.
I will take a cue from what Pooraan has just finished and generalize it for maybe, at least an omni-channel department store business. The biggest success of AI would be to offer personalization to the customer at every touch point. So while, they're shopping on the app or they're within the store, a store associate something that, Shopper Stop does offer a personal shopper service. And with a device in the hand, they can just offer the right product or upsell, cross-sell, or even engage in a meaningful conversation basis, maybe their birthday, anniversary, or any points, offers that are, valid for them. Just engage in a meaningful conversation with the customer. The same knowledge. Now the personal shopper has got a lot of knowledge about that customer, which can be, slowly, given to the system. And when somebody at a call center picks up the phone, when the same customer calls, they're able to ask the right question, that how was your experience when you visited us last evening? But that may not be the most relevant question. The AI engine could tell us that the customer is calling because of escalation, and that is the right question to ask, that sir, we've already fixed the issue, sir or ma'am, and what can we do more for you? So that, that whole human aspect where you don't know the person, but you're able to give a very personalized, service at every touch point, whether you are at a checkout counter or billing counter or omni-channel, or, that what is the preferred time that customer would want to receive a call. So all these things do matter, and some of the brands do it pretty well. So personalization is the number one thing, I would say, which is a customer facing thing, and at the back end there is a whole lot of things. So I would just take one thing because often we miss the back end part. So contracts that we do in organizations, they are quite, like 200, 300 pages of contracts, and, somebody who's going to open 100 stores, 200 stores, I have to sign 200 leases. That thing, AI has solved it beautifully, that here are my standard clauses. I'll just upload the contract of a real estate mall guy, and it will just give me in 2 minutes how much deviation is from my standard clauses. So I think these would be the top two which comes to my mind at the moment.
Good thought. So one is personalization for customers, and the second one is contract management. Okay, so Anirban?
Yeah, so for us, one of the challenges we face, so being an omni-channel company, so when you buy a smartphone, so there is an array of choices. Now I'm not talking about product choices here. That's of course one dimension to it. So the arrays of choices and modes of payment, because usually mobiles, either there is a brand subvention, there is affordability, there is exchange, there are special schemes like Bajaj EMI cards. So one of the things which stores people do very well is to explain that and give the customer the best, based on the financial instruments he has, the best way to save money without compromising on the margin. That is something we find very difficult to do online. Given that online we are not meeting the customer, he is coming, as much information you can give that this is a no-cost EMI, this is a EMI which is low cost, you can take it for say 48 months versus a no cost for 24 months. Yeah. One of the things which actually we were discussing, and I was discussing with him also, so see, if we can build something which allows us to give the same experience, say like if we have say 5 cards and we have say 5 different bank cards and say we have Bajaj EMI and there is my particular requirement. If a prompt engineering can take that and give me the best offer for that device. Nothing like it. That's where exactly, okay, that might slowly make the store guy redundant, but that is anyway going to happen because that is the beauty. So if otherwise what happens is that I carry say 10 credit cards. Now because of the industry I have to carry. It's not like that I like to carry. But we give offers. So if there are brand offers on HDFC, but not everybody has an HDFC. So they might have an IDFC. An IDFC might give a great scheme, which is much better than maybe even HDFC. But to convey that to the customer online in a flow is next to impossible. And I'm very surprised that even the online majors have not done it. And actually, I was going to say, I said that this is a surprise for you. So if you can build something like that for us, we will be happy to collaborate and have a tech tool which is really cutting edge, world class, because that's how the game would be.
I think Anirban sprung it on me, but I think we are having a chat a little earlier. And maybe I'll come at it from the enabler side. I think a lot of you are running businesses and we kind of help you get to those customers, help you enable your online storefronts. And I'll speak a little bit about more from what we see as some of those leapfrog innovations happening, and especially with generative AI. And I'll pull on a lot of those threads that I think Pooraan spoke about and Sandeep spoke about and Anirban spoke about. When you walk into a store and we go into a premium Apple store, right? What is the experience that we expect out there? We expect that one-on-one experience of someone who understands us, can spend some time with us and help us get to that right product at that right price and that right offer and everything together. You come to an online store, it almost feels like there's one store built for you for no matter where you are coming in from. That's today what almost every other storefront looks like today. Every other experience looks like. The simple reason being that it's much more expensive, much more difficult to run something at a scale of 1 million consumers who you don't know today. But that's some of those aspects that we can really move the needle on. That customer experience of making that customer feel like he walked into a store that really understands them at a deep level, gets to them the right products, the right offers, at the right price, and maybe, like I said, the right affordability at this point of time. That one-on-one experience that really helps you as a brand, as a retailer, feel like this is where I want to shop. This is where I want to come back to. And I think this is basically some of those things that will happen in the days to come, where storefronts, like as you are running today, these online storefronts, they will not be one store for everyone, but it'll be one store for one, and you can power some of those experiences in the days to come, hopefully.
Okay.
Thanks,
But
Barada.
you did get some business now. If you'd have to see whether you're going to convert it or no. Anirban has just thrown a challenge at you. So basically, I'm going to come to Anirban's website and tell him, listen, I want a mobile phone which is for about 30,000 rupees, which should be branded like a Samsung or at least on par, and I want finance to be available to me for at least 90% of that amount, and I want to pay only in 24 months time, plus I want free cover and free whatever it is. All this has to go in, and then of course, if I put it into my washing machine, you have to make sure that you change it and give it to me. That's what customers come and tell Sangeetha stores. For those of you, anybody from Bangalore in this place? Yeah, you do know that people many a times they are, गिर गया नीचे phone, जाने दो यार, संगीता का है, वापस मिल जाएगा दूसरा. I have seen customers sitting inside a salon telling me this. And I'm like, these guys can't afford 10 rupees, but they are saying, chalega, Sangeetha, throw it, it's okay. They'll come and change it for you. So that's the kind of reputation they have. So
They have done a fabulous job in terms of just getting the products out to everybody in Bangalore, right? I mean, there's the brand that is trusted from a fact that you can go there and I can not only find great products, but I can find great service for my products, right? And I think just taking that service to everybody on that online space where they feel that same service, that same care that they're bringing in on their offline experiences, I think those will be some of those power with this
enough.
AI part. Yeah.
But maybe I'd want it on online and offline in a similar manner. Coming into the store and I tell all those idiosyncrasies and I should get the answer for it. Yeah, that's the trick, right? Whether I buy it online or offline, I want to tell all those constraints that I want to put up and you should be able to give me the right product. So that's where the whole problem is. So Jagpreet, what's your thought?
So I'll build on what Anirban and Barada have said.
You know, I have a slightly different requirement from you. I don't want you to talk about customer service. यार आप लोग McDonald's हो, आप लोग किसको भी बेची दोगे. At the end of the day, तो जो आया खरीद
I
ले.
will not talk of customer service. I promise you.
Talk to me about something that I have always thought McDonald's is up there. About the ability to source your produce, to sell it, to make it as fresh to every single customer. I know, I mean, I've sat with some of your team members in the earlier part of my avatar to understand how it works and how well you can really source that best of. I mean, you just look at it, it's just one salad leaf. It's not anything big. But how do you make sure that that particular salad leaf is that fresh, that crunchy at every point of sale across this? How many stores now? 3,000?
No, so we are 350 stores.
Okay, 350. But
In
across the
Western
world,
South
it's
India.
similar, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So is there anything that you're doing on that front, on the whole supply chain, or do you think that can be changed? Whether you're doing or you think things can happen?
So things can definitely happen. There's no doubt about it. There are a lot of companies doing this. Unfortunately, I'm not the right person to speak about
Okay,
it. So
okay.
I'm more of the consumer-facing.
Okay, I right question to the wrong man.
Yes. So
Okay, sorry.
I totally agree. It's the right question to the wrong man. Coming to that AI piece we were talking about, how I see, and again, building on what Anirban and Barada was saying. So Anirban talked about how AI will make the choices for the customer, which card you should use. And Barada was talking about how that the user interface will improve with AI. So I want to paint a picture for everybody here. And I'm sure this is something familiar with a lot of people when you're driving from Pune to Mumbai or the other way around. Or if you're coming from Bangalore, then Mysore to Bangalore and the other way around. And you feel hungry on the way. Nowadays, most cars have a computer in them that you can talk to. So you tell your car, I'm hungry. Can we have McDonald's on the way? And the car knows what you like to eat because of the generative or other kinds of AI. And it says, do you want your McSpicy paneer, the usual McSpicy paneer and McCafe? You say yes. And the car is also enabled payment through voice so that you are able to pay for your McCafe before you arrive at the store. Your food is warm and ready for you because it predicts what time you'll arrive. And you pick up your food and you can eat it on the way when you're driving back home or wherever you're driving to. That is the future that can be enabled through these technologies.
Oh, it's an amazing picture. Any one of you took this road here while coming to the airport to come here to the hotel? When you enter that road from old airport to the new one, you've seen that, and there's a big McDonald arch that they've created. Yeah, every time I come through that to come to my office, also not too far away. Every time I come from there, I'm like thinking, yaar, ek McDonald to kha leta main. So now hopefully I should be able to tell, and I keep telling my driver, rokoge kaise yahan par? Because it's in the airport. How do you really stop, right? You have to be whizzing past, but your food should be ready. So please don't make it only for the guys in Pune and give it to me here close by.
Everywhere it will be.
It's such a nice thought, right? Very nice thought. Yeah.
Thank you. It is in the process. So it might take some time, but it will be there.
Yeah, but this is to be kept within the four walls of this place. It's still not available to the pub. I think the PR is not to be done with that currently. Right? Okay, so this is a close-knit group of people. We believe that you're all here only for knowledge and not to leak what happened here to others.
And the camera in the background is for research purposes only. Right?
Correct.
So,
Okay. Manoj.
So, we use this particular AI in front end as well as the back end. So in back end, if you ask, IT is very closely working with the accounts finance department. So we help them in terms of getting all the reconciliations and all done. Like the way the rent agreements are happening, then auto e-signatures are happening. The same way we are doing for the reconciliation, like whatever the marketplace, the Mintras and all the Amazon, whatever we sell over there, the reconciliation happening with all the payment or the delivery happened on time or not happened, or is there any data leakage or some some leakage over happening and reconciliation and then the disputes happening. So to overcome all this stuff, and because this is all of a manual effort, so through this AI we are able to this particular work in span of really 5 to 10 minutes.
It's quite an interesting thing because Sandeep talked about it in the initial part when he talked about it, and I was thinking, yaar, finance accounts mein kya karenge? This is quite interesting. So you're saying that the entire reconciliation process takes much lesser
Yes,
time
yes.
when you use this?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Because
Well
your
done.
templates and everything is fixed. You have to just write the algorithm, what you want to match with what, and it comes out. Like previously, like there is a dedicated staff who tries to do this work and it takes nearly a week's time.
Yeah.
Now it's like you have to just put the file over, the algorithms are already there and it gives you the output immediately.
Oh, well done.
And that's where it helps out.
Okay.
Second part is like more on the website front where, many of the customer comes and they select the particular product and they search around and they go out. So it helps whenever the new customer comes, they come to know whichever has been hitted most of the time. So those pages comes in the front.
Yeah.
Rather than going to all the pages, which is the most like design and everything, that comes as a front. Other things which helps in the supply chain, where we work according to the 2 seasons, summer and autumn. So how the warehouse planning has been done when the new products are coming in the warehouse, or the space allocation, the bean allocation, then the transportation, like download of the truck and going out. So all this can be done through the AI facility.
Oh, nice. I think that's hopefully going to bring down the amount of time that it takes from make to the customer. Is it going to bring down the entire supply chain time overall?
Yes. It's happening currently. We are using it.
You're using it?
Yeah, happening it, yeah.
Quite interesting. Pooran.
So if you ask me, I can put AI in all the places, whether it's about customer experience, you talk about business processing, you talk about supply chain, finance, everywhere. I'm a passionate technology person, I keep telling myself, and I'm like this only since ages, I would say, being 25 years, When I see new technology, I see the use case of it. Now, this is the first time in last 2-3 years where I'm seeing non-technical people are coming and telling me, like, I want to use the AI. Now, there's 2 things to it. Like, is my job at risk? Maybe yes, maybe no. Because what AI has done, the generative AI, which we always is generalize the AI things, okay? People who had less brains, or people who used to like technology is a very complex thing, and okay, if I have to write a program, it will take years or days or months or something. Now, non-tech people are saying like, okay, there's an AI available for this. Somebody in the office, in your organization, from your non-tech department, or business or finance, they must have done the research by themselves. They are just coming to you and telling you that this is what I needed. They are telling you because you are a designated CTO or CIO of the organization, but they have already done the research. Now you have only 2 options. Either you do the research or you learn from them. Plus, you also have to add your value. Then go back to board. If you don't add value and the other department says that this is already done, so there is no reason for technology head to be in the company. Now that's a challenge for CIOs. So a lot of people may not have spoke about this challenge. The people at the top level, at our CXO level, they are all educated, experienced people. They have seen the more seasons than any of the newcomers, especially if it's a legacy business or if it's a 15 years old business. They all know. Everyone's trying to behave smart. They want to bring more profitability to the organization. And it is not that earlier days when we used to like only retail head is to bring the business. Now everyone is given a task like you have to make the organization profitable. And everyone is starting, they are all educated, they are tech savvy. Now, there were time when CFO was like, my job is to only look at the finance, balance sheet and everything. Now they're tech savvy, they will say, okay, no, let's use this technology. Like Manoj rightly said, they are thinking or they're using the AI for reconciliation. We just say that they are using for contract management. So in an organization, which is like 1,000 people company or 100 people company, there are people allocated a job to do certain things. Now, if you look at closely, these people are doing what? They are just following certain processes laid down by the organization to run the business. 90% of this process is being done using a software. We no longer use pen and paper to do that. So we are eventually feeding the data, then taking calls. Having said that, if you have AI which understand the business like reconciliation, contract management, agreement, payments, everything, this is something not new. I've been doing the procurement, handling the procurement for IT for years now. I know these are typical things which I'll buy. There's a set metrics to do it. Now, if I just write those rules, my software will take care of it. If you go to the Microsoft, Oracle, or SAP, their tech events, they'll talk about the same thing. You don't have to learn the programming. You just have to type your rules and regulation. The software will do everything for you. Now, thinking that if the way the AI is progressing, I can clearly see you will not require you. In fact, a lot of people are going to cut down the manpower cost. That's the AI is going to do. Now it's up to you whether you want to learn AI to run the AI, or you want to just shy away, or you're saying, let's wait for time. Time आएगा देखेंगे. So the AI application is there. It is up to us. How do we want to use it? How much money we have? What is the ROI? That calculation is still required to be done.
Good thought. I think for the benefit of all of us, we'd like to expand this thought process on what can be done with AI. And then we'll go to the next question, which is maybe slightly more challenging, about what to get worried about when it comes to AI, because that's equally challenging, right? And the human aspects of it, I think just touched upon it, and Barada had already on a private note he had asked, what does it mean for human beings who are involved in this business, right? So we'll come to that. But before that, I think it's easy to kind of list down what can be done and what should be dreamt up, and let's try and add. And people here can also add. So my thought process is, can it change the way our transportation is done? Can it change the way our employment in the businesses are getting done? Can it change the way the accuracy for any of the data that we have can be re-looked at, especially reconciliation, not necessarily being only financial. The famous FMS and the stock management system, right? So how do you create this financial management system and the stock management system to really work with each other? Can that get done? Can the safety security aspect of every single retail store, retail business, distribution center be changed thanks to AI? Today, in fact, I want to thank you for that, Pooraan. As soon as that there was some possibility of a fire, I saw you also rushing there to try and help and see if everything is okay or no. So nobody told you to do it, but you ran there. So
The reason that I think RAI is my own association, and I'm working for them, not just a speaker. And so for me, it's like safety comes first. In our stores also, anything happens, obviously there are teams and everything. But what happens, like if you can take initiative and break something or stop something which can create more loss, it's much better.
Those who did not understand what happened here in one of the sessions earlier in the other room today, there was a small spark that happened at the side of the room. So people kind of were trying to figure out what's happened. I saw suddenly Pooraan there like Superman from the behind. He suddenly appeared in that place to try and solve that problem. So that's what the whole thank you process is. Can it change the way collaborations are done? Can you create new, you did talk about documentation around contracts, but the overall collaborations itself can get done differently because you're looking at different skill sets of different kinds of organization to create collaborations, right? Can it change your omni-channel experience? Some of that you already touched upon. Can it create something around personalization? I think you spoke about it. Some others also spoke about personalization as much as you could. Can it create speed? Some parts of it Manoj spoke about in terms of speed, because you are able to crunch the time that it takes from design to delivery, and that can possibly get done faster. There was lots more discussion on design also. So this is where we are, and from what is coming up very clearly is you can use AI anywhere. Just to give you an example, most of the events that we do, we used to have some kind of a checklist with us, but then about 2 months before, I said one of my team members, let's try how to create an event on ChatGPT. And we got a whole Adobe list of things. About 60% of it was done by us, but 40% was not done by us. So in spite of the thought that we've got some amount of processes with us, there were a whole lot that kind of sprung up on our face. So I'm sure each one of you will go through this kind of an experience every time. So this is possible. Now for the elephant in the room, right? What could go wrong? Pooraan wants to start first? Acha, he wants to start first from there. Huh? Okay. And this is, by anybody can tell. I'll go from one person to another. First, Pooraan, it's my fastest finger first.
My experience, no matter whatever technology comes in, the human touch cannot be replaced. Okay. I've seen, over the years of time, we started buying food from McD or other places, I still love to have tea made by my own hands. There are a lot of machines there. I don't know how many chai shops are open, chai wala. I don't really remember. But the best tea I can have is with my own hand, or my wife's hand, or my mother's hand. That's from a food perspective.
No, my question is different.
From a business perspective?
No. My question is, what is the risk? What's happening with AI?
The biggest risk what I see is like, AI is totally dependent on data which is entered in the system. If the data itself is gone wrong, I think I saw one of the movie, I don't remember the movie name, where I think Robo was the movie, where the first one, I don't remember. I don't know, the robot itself was got, he did not have emotion, then it threw away. That movie showed everything what could go wrong with
This is the Rajnikant film, yeah.
Exactly. I'm unable to recollect that, but that's what it is. So anything going wrong, wrong input can ruin the whole business. Whole planning will go wrong. It's like if you take a wrong turn, instead of going to Pune, you might go to some other city. It's like that.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like more of a garbage in, garbage out. If your data is not cleaned properly, no AI will help you out. Everything will go for toss. So it's very crucial, very important. One is the data cleaning, and one is another thing is the security of the data. So whatever data we are collecting from the customer, we should have the proper consent, and we should be very transparent to them in terms of where we are going to use this particular kind of data. So risk is over there also.
Okay.
So I'll come into it from a different angle, and I'll take a little bit of history. Little bit, I mean 300,000 years. All of us humans were living in the jungle, same as other animals. We were at risk from predators. And then humans evolved to be slightly more intelligent than the other animals. And one thing led to the other. And today we are sitting where we have cleaned entire areas of any of the other species. We cultivate species like chickens and goats and cows and many others for our food because of a delta in intelligence. So because we are smarter, everything else on earth is either dependent on us or for consumption by us. If AI becomes so smart that it is 10% smarter than us, there's a name for it, it's called the singularity, when artificial intelligence is smarter than humans, then they are the primary species and we are the slaves. That I think is the primary risk of AI. Now, I'm not an expert to say how soon that is going to happen, if it's ever going to happen, but if it ever does happen, then human race is a secondary race on planet Earth at least. So that's the risk we are dealing with.
Well,
Can I say something? I think humans are already dependent on technology. If you see in this room, if we just take out the mobile phones, a lot of people will stop thinking, or they will just get confused.
But is your phone smarter than you today? No. What if it was?
okay. It's a good question to ask. It's not just about employment and the worry whether there's going to be enough employment. You are saying whether we'll have freedom itself. Whether we'll be the second in species, there is somebody else who's going to be our boss.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there's this big chapter in almost all of AI practitioners today, which is about AI alignment to human values, essentially. And I think anybody who's working on the forefront of AI treats this with as much as a real risk for us. And unless we have alignment, I think that goes wrong with humans all the time. We see that. People who are not aligned, right from Hitlers to all the dictators who have come over the years, not being aligned creates large amount of catastrophic disaster for the world as a whole, right? I think that's a real risk. I mean, beyond just the risks on the philosophical level, and maybe there's some, I think we still, some bits away from AGI yet. I think there was risks while we do need to work on alignment and we do need to work on safety. I think the more business risks where I see is definitely today there's going to be some degree of unemployment. Simply because it's just like we ran the manufacturing era, led to a lot of unemployment happening for workers. That's going to be the real thing, that we'll see a lot of white collar jobs now being replaced with AI. So we'll have to learn to adapt how to put them into our workflows. And I see that all the time because there's just shortening of, I mean, beyond just the funding winter we see across in startups, what we are seeing in a reality also is that we just need lesser people to do the same things. We are able to pick up things faster, right? Which means that the people who are going to be left behind, not going to adopt it, probably will going to be at the risk of what do I need to do next. So the human aspects of how do you provide employment, how do you upskill people, I think those are things that we need to think through. And then there's, of course, all the stuff that we spoke about we need to have clean data, we need to ensure AI safety and stuff. But these are also things I think we need to think through.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, it is more pedestrian risk right now. See, earlier, cybersecurity meant that somebody had to steal the data and then the algorithm. Now, if somebody steals the trained language model or any model, then everything from the organization goes. So you don't need the data to be stolen again. If your algorithm is trained or your language model is trained and somebody gets a hands on it, you're basically the DNA of the organization also goes with it, because all the experience, because you have spent all the effort feeding the data of the company to train something, and that itself goes. It's like a trained human being going. It's like a trainee. So cybersecurity will become a very, very big challenge. And even the models has to be broken down into pieces and kept separately under separate EA, because integrated models will be a severe risk for organizations as it is.
Wow, that's big. Sandeep?
I think the biggest risk is that AI is not human. So because of that, there is risk in every area. So AI has its own bias. Couple of years ago, two large tech companies created two AI-based bots and asked them to chat with each other. Within few minutes or hours of conversation, they went abusive. Then they developed their own language, which nobody could understand. And then both these bots have to be shut down because these tech giants didn't understood in less than 24 hours what AI has done and what's they're going to do. So because they don't know what are the repercussions of AI. So there is always a term called AI bias. So AI would be biased because humans can also be biased, but then AI bias is all that mistake in the data which can create that. And the other problem that I see is that AI being used at both ends of a problem. So I'll give you an example. So few months ago, I had to hire few people and I started to write job descriptions using generative AI. Now what happened that applicants, to get through the applicant tracking systems, were using job descriptions and their resumes, and they were uploading to ChatGPT and creating a new resume to suit that job descriptions. So while I was trying to be smart, but they were trying to outsmart me. So that's another problem, that if you're using this force from the both ends, nothing is going to move. So it's nullifying. But having said that, one investor said a very famous line: "Not taking risk is also a risk." So we always thought, man versus machine. Man was always worried that machine is going to take over the job, but I don't think it will happen, and I don't think we can create something smarter than us. So point of singularity, I don't believe we are going to achieve it. Yes, we can be very near to it, but I believe we must embrace AI because the benefits are far more than the risks that we perceive.
Good thought. At an individual level, there are two thoughts that I have also. One is, how many of you tried checking what does ChatGPT or one of these AI platforms talk about your own selves? Anybody? Have you tried to see what do they say? Who is, for example, if I say who is Kumar Rajagopalan, it seems to connect me to all kinds of heroines. I don't know why, but it does, right? I have never seen any one of them in my life. Never had any kind of an affiliation with any of them. So anybody in this room tried your name on ChatGPT? No? So that's a good exercise to do. So think about all the people that you don't really like so much and then put their name on ChatGPT or something and see what happens. The descriptions are quite interesting. So that's one. And of course, there are things like deep fakes that's kind of creating a stir in the minds of people, especially in the film world and in the media world and the celebrity world, because deep fake can do things that you can never thought was possible. So that's the other thing that is a worry. However, like Sandeep says, I mean, all of us have to go through it. We can't be just sitting there telling, yeah, pata nahi, it's worrisome, so we'll not touch it. Because not doing is a bigger risk than doing it. So that's where we are. We've got about 7 minutes with us. I would like to open this up to the people here, if it's okay, to check if they've got questions that they want to ask. If you've got questions that you want to ask, please also tell to whom are you asking these questions so that the right person can answer your questions. Yeah?
So hi, Heyman here. So my question is to Sandeep, as you're from Shoppers Stop, right? Wanted to understand that how can AI help in generating sales specifically? So see, I'm from DHL Express, okay? We are into courier industry. So we have a lot of festive seasons going on, right? Rakhi, Diwali, or even Merry Express, which goes on. So how you can drive repeat business specifically for Festive Express or your end of season sale or season sales which go on to your stores?
So like I said, this all amounts to something called personalization only. I mean, at the end of day, you can, look at the history of a customer, your existing customers. You can look, you can offer them, you can look at what they bought in last Rakhi or Diwali, and you look at their entire purchase and look at their affinity of what they have bought recently, and then give them a very, very personalized offering of what they are going to, likely to buy, depending on what their sales or their purchase pattern. And then you might want to sweeten that deal by a coupon or a points or something. So that is a very, very direct way of, increasing your sale by going to the customer front. Second is your, what sold last versus, what was the weather last time and what was the number of your competitions in that market. If you put all that data together, you can actually get to right assortment list for the particular catchment. Right now, we try to just use the sales number of the previous season. We don't look at how many competition shops were there last year. We don't look at what was my customer base. We don't look how many stores I have opened, particularly in food industry. You try to open a lot of stores very near to each other to serve them in less than X minutes. So you have to look at all these factors. So once you put all these factors into the model, you will get the right product mix, you will get the right customer, target customer.
Yeah, that answers. Next.
Yeah, so this is to all on the panel because we all have talked a lot about personalization, but with the new data protection and privacy laws coming out, GDPR2, CCPA, even our own Digital Protection Act here in India, how are we able to get the information to be able to create this personalization for the consumer, especially on the online level, at the data level? Yeah.
Good question.
I think this was also a question that I had kind of spoken about in our private conversation, but this is a real problem in terms of how do you ensure data sanctity across wherever you are. One, getting the right consent from users, and secondly, being able to share with the right partners who can provide that same degree of security for you, right? Large part of the LLMs that we see today are hosted today to a large extent, or in, first of all, third-party geographies, not in our own geographies. This is consumer data. In some sense, we're feeding them data, right? So we probably need to be more cognizant about it before we onboard them. And we've got to look at alternate ways of kind of either bringing enterprise level GPTs, which kind of get hosted in our own infrastructure, and then obviously having the talent to manage that and stuff. And then having to work with partners who can provide that right degree of, again, sanctity in terms of gathering the right data. The third part of it is that I think, again, goes back to consumer experience. I think consumers are willing to share data as long as we provide them valuable experiences. The consumers don't think of us as stealing our data and using it for something else. They want something in exchange. And as long as you have that fair exchange, I think on the consumer side, it's fairly more trustworthy. It depends on us as businesses, really. Can we provide that same degree, replay that trust back for them, right? Can we provide that same secure environments for hosting? Can we ensure that we are working with the right partners who can echo our policies? So I think these are things to kind of keep in mind before we onboard any of these AI partners, the way that I see it. Yeah.
I think for companies who are using AI, and as we all know, the new laws are coming up for the protection of consumer rights or data privacy. As my friend rightly said, that consumers are willing to pay give the information because they are availing the service, and they also know that the data is being used for various modeling and other purposes. We all know we are all living in a era of Swiggy and Zomato where you get a message in the morning like this is chai time or this is snack time, whatever that. They all know what we are ordering that's being processed by the various companies. So from a consumer end, I don't see there is an issue from a compliance perspective, but for the companies, it's an issue because they have to be more secure, more careful while using these technologies. Anything going wrong, any small leakage can damage the whole brand. That's the biggest risk than any not using risk. So that's from my side.
Yeah, so just add, I don't know how many people are aware. So while we are talking about customization, and don't quote me, this is for recording purposes. See the amount of financial data we have on people when you are giving affordability is tremendous. Forget customization. You see, you give consent to a lot of things without knowing what the thing actually does to your records. So I was in somebody's summit, some big giant summit yesterday, and we were talking about affordability. So somebody wants to buy a 1 lakh rupee phone, he is only eligible for 60,000. So now you have this account aggregators, you give 2 OTPs and they give you the limits. Now, is 40,000 the price of giving all your account information to somebody who will then sell for the rest of your life? That's very dangerous to even think. But we do it. As consumers, we do it. So, see, while data privacy bills are all for not sharing of data, but the data actually comes from the consumers. Consumers are ready to give arms, leg, and eye for getting better deals. So let's face it. So that's gonna be there.
I think that the key term, the data protection being mentioned is the consent. With the consent of the customer, you can have the data, and then, like he said, they're ready to give everything. I mean, moment you ask for a mobile number of a customer, they're happily giving it for I don't know what reasons, and they're ready to give all the information. So I think with consent, that path will be crossed, and customers will be willing to give that because they will get personalized services. So I think we have to develop that confidence while taking the numbers. A lot of customer companies says that, please give us the number and we don't spam you. They make a bold statement. So we have to get that confidence, and only few brands would be able to do it in the right way. So we have to create that confidence in the minds of customer to let them share the data.
But actually, it's a very interesting point, because while we talked about risks for the company, at an individual level, the risks seem to be much higher. Because if each one of us are throwing data left, right, and center to various people, we are throwing data on social media, we are throwing data at individual companies, we have no clue at what point of time things can get consolidated in some place and will come splat on your face. So, like you said, right, account aggregators. Yesterday I applied for a credit card, it just asked me, I don't even want you to access your bank account. Account aggregator, do it. I'm happy because it took me 1 second to give my entire data, right? But I've given my entire data, like you said. So it's not going to be that simple as individuals. So as much as businesses have to be wary, individuals need to know that things can happen to them very quickly with the amount of data that's available cross-platform, and it's not so difficult. Time's up, yeah.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to talk on behalf of the panel here. An experience, an anecdote in my life where I was using Alexa at home. And I know for a fact the kind of information that Google captures. And here I was talking about a trip to Dubai. And I start getting prompts on my phone about trips to Dubai, about deals, right? As much as that worries me, I was happy that some bit of research was coming to me directly, right? So as rightly put, as much as we complain about our data being out there, somewhere inside we are happy about getting that intel using our data. So I think as consumers, we are quite hypocritical in this way. But yeah, I think as you all said, consumers are unknowingly, knowingly giving their data.
Agree. Okay, I think
If I may, just one thing. So the point which I was trying to make is not so much about consumers giving their data, but getting their consent for using that data. Because now it's going to be an opt-in rather than an opt-out. So consumers have to actually say, yes, you can use my data. So that is where the challenge will be for, people.
I think GDPR has been around for quite a while, right? And I think if you've gone to any site, literally they have that accept cookie form. Most of us go through it because it's just
a lot of us are also in
annoyance.
physical retail. So in physical retail, you have the challenge rather than online.
Yeah, I think, we still are not clear on what the regulation states there, of course, in terms of like how do we get that consent and how do we get that opt-in, how prominent has it got to be. But I think given the deal, basically at the point of purchase, sometimes overrides that need to think about, is this data worth it? But I think as long as you're using it for good, I think we're in business for good. I think we all do a great job.
Yeah, so thank you for this time. I think if this was useful to all of you, clap to banta hai. So thank you, gentlemen. Please.